Bruce Lee kick, you don't shut your eyes, because when you shut your eyes, you cannot see Bruce Lee kick. You know how fast?
Many people have wondered how Bruce Lee, the legendary martial arts star, would do against his own teacher, Ip Man. Some say the answer is surprising. Ip Man could beat Bruce Lee using just one finger. It sounds impossible, but when you look at Ip Man's Wing Chun, his skill, timing, and understanding of fighting, it starts to make sense. This is not about being strong. It is about control, focus, and knowing your opponent completely. Could it really be true that even the greatest martial artist ever could be stopped by just a single finger? Join us in this video as we reveal the details. Why Ip Man could defeat Bruce Lee with one finger. In the mid-50s, in busy Hong Kong, a quiet meeting took place that would later grow into one of the most talked about stories in martial arts history. The setting was simple. It was not a grand hall. It was not a bright studio. It was a small rooftop school on Argyle Street. The room was narrow and warm. The air was thick with incense, sweat, and the sharp smell of tiger balm. Around a wooden dummy stood a small group of students. They were silent. They were watching. At the center of the room sat Ip Man. He was already in his 60s. He was not tall. He was slim and calm. He wore simple clothes and thin glasses. He did not look like a fighter from a movie. He looked like a quiet teacher, almost like a clerk resting after a long day. He sat on a stool, holding tea, relaxed and still. Into this room walked a young Bruce Lee. He was full of energy. Even at a young age, he was known for his speed and his temper. He had fought in rooftop matches. He had trained hard. He believed in his power and his quick hands. He stepped forward and asked to test his teacher. Ip Man did not stand. He did not raise both hands. He did not prepare in any dramatic way. He simply lifted one finger and calmly invited Bruce to come forward. Bruce attacked fast. He used sharp jabs. He used chain punches. He even tried a low kick. His movements were quick and direct, but each time he moved in, Ip Man touched him lightly, just a finger, a small shift at the wrist, a slight redirection at the elbow, a gentle press at the shoulder. Suddenly, Bruce's balance would break. His force would fall apart before it even reached its target. Observers later explained that Ip Man was not using strength. He was using structure. In Wing Chun, control of the center line is everything. If the elbow line collapses, the punch cannot grow. If the shoulder turns slightly off, the body loses its base. A finger placed at the right point can change the whole frame of the body. Bruce attacked again, and again, and again. Each time he rushed in with speed and fire. Each time, Ip Man barely moved. He stayed seated. He did not strain. He did not show anger. He simply adjusted, touched, and redirected. At one point, his finger reached Bruce's throat after breaking his balance. Bruce froze in place. The room was silent. It was said that Bruce tried several times. It was said that each time ended the same way. Not with pain, not with injury, but with structure broken before power could even form. The lesson was simple, yet it was deep. Speed means nothing if your base is gone. Strength means nothing if your center is lost. Over the next years, during private sticky hands practice, the same pattern continued. Bruce would explode forward with combinations. Ip Man would respond with small movements, often using just one finger to guide, to press, or to collapse the line of attack. The older master did not need wide swings. He did not need heavy strikes. He waited for the smallest opening and touched the right place. The principle behind the so-called one-finger method was not magic. It was timing and angle. When pressure is applied to the elbow at the right moment, the arm weakens. When forward energy meets a slight inward redirection, balance shifts. When a finger presses into the sternum while the body is moving forward, the spine reacts and posture breaks. Bruce himself later grew into a global icon. He developed his own ideas. He built a system that focused on freedom and directness. Yet those close to him said he never forgot the feeling of that finger, the feeling of rushing forward with full power and finding nothing to hit, the feeling of being stopped not by force, but by calm precision. Years later, during a private demonstration, Ip Man was already weak from illness. He was thin. His voice was rough from heavy smoking. Yet when Bruce attacked at full speed, The redirections were still there. A slight touch, a small flick, a change in angle. At one moment, a finger struck lightly into the solar plexus and Bruce dropped to one knee, not from damage but from surprise and respect. The lesson of that rooftop was never about humiliation. It was about foundation. Fire without root burns out quickly. Power without balance falls apart. The one finger was not about strength. It was about control. It showed that the smallest motion, done at the right time and in the right place, can stop even the fastest hands. And in that small rooftop room, under the quiet gaze of 10 students, a deeper understanding of martial arts was passed from teacher to student, not with shouting, not with force, but with a single raised finger. If Bruce Lee became a global icon known for speed and power, then how did his quiet teacher, Ip Man, build such deep skill and lasting influence that many believed he could win Bruce Lee with a single finger? Let's learn more. The quiet master and the legacy that followed. Ip Man was born in 1893 in Foshan during the final years of the Qing dynasty. His birth name was Ip Kai Man. His family was wealthy. They owned property, shops, and large homes. He grew up in comfort, surrounded by servants and private tutors. Yet, from a young age, he began learning Wing Chun. His first teacher was Chan Hua Shun. After Chan passed away, Ip continued training under Leung Bick in Hong Kong. There, he refined the softer, closer aspects of the system. He learned that distance should be short, movements should be direct. The closer the fight, the clearer the control. As a teenager, he attended St. Stephen's College in Hong Kong. He dressed well, he looked educated, but outside the classroom, challenge fights were common. Rooftop matches were a way to test skill. In one early fight against an older martial artist who mocked Wing Chun, Ip stepped inside the man's stance and collapsed his elbow with 2 fingers. The fight ended in seconds. Through the years in Foshan, he became known for these quick endings. He did not boast. He did not advertise. But word spread. If he touched you at the right point, the fight was already over. War changed everything. During the Japanese occupation, life in Foshan became hard. The IP man refused to teach those who supported the occupation. After the war, political change forced him to leave mainland China. In 1949, he moved to Hong Kong with almost nothing. He left his wife and children behind, not knowing he would never see his wife again. In Hong Kong, he began teaching in small rented rooms and on rooftops. Students paid what they could. Sometimes the money box was empty. He smoked heavily. He lived simply. He did not chase fame. He did not enter tournaments. He did not seek attention. Yet fighters came to test him. Masters from other styles arrived with confidence. Some brought weapons. Some came from boxing or karate backgrounds. Most left quickly. The IP man did not chase them around the room. He stepped in, controlled the center, and ended the exchange with small movements. A palm to the chest, a finger to the throat, a trap at the elbow. As he aged, illness grew stronger. Cancer weakened his body. By his late 70s, he was thin and frail. Yet even then, students felt the strength in his hands. A light press to the chest could break posture. A turn of the wrist could redirect a full punch. He never owned much. When he passed away in 1972, he left behind simple belongings. But he left something far greater than money. His students carried his art across the world. Wang Shun Leung became known for challenge fights, testing Wing Chun against boxers and other fighters. Leung Shung helped organize and structure the teaching system. Chu Shong Tin became famous for his relaxed but powerful control. Moi Yat brought the art to America. William Chung spread his version internationally. Leung Ting built a large global organization with thousands of schools. Ip Man's sons, Ip Chun and Ip Ching, also continued teaching for decades, preserving their father's method with care and detail. From small rooftop classes, the art grew into a worldwide practice. Today, schools exist in Europe, North America, Australia, and beyond. Films later made his name famous, especially those starring Donnie Yen, but long before the movies, his reputation was built quietly in small rooms with wooden dummies and patient correction.
the IP man. In the West, they call it IP man because it's Ip Man, right? And for the longest time as an actor, I want to try something else.
He never stepped into a public ring. He never held a championship belt. Yet, many believe he never lost a true challenge. His focus was always the same: control the line, stay relaxed, use minimal motion, let the opponent's force defeat itself. The story of the one finger became a symbol of this idea. It showed that size is not everything, speed is not everything, noise and fame are not everything. Sometimes the deepest power is quiet, simple and direct. In the end, Ip Man was not a movie hero during his lifetime. He was a thin man in slippers, sitting calmly in a small room, raising one finger. But from that finger grew a global legacy that shaped modern martial arts forever. If Bruce Lee started as a street fighter, learning in alleys and rooftops, then how did those early battles and lessons shape him into the global martial arts legend he would become? Let's delve deeper. From street fights to global legacy. As a teenager in Hong Kong, Bruce Lee was known for getting into fights. He was active, proud, and often quick to challenge others. He spent time with a group called the Junction Street Tigers. Street fighting became a normal part of his life. These fights were not small arguments. They were serious enough to cause concern for his family and for local authorities. Over time, Bruce began to understand that natural speed and anger were not enough to win every fight. He needed proper training and better control. When he was about 15 years old, a friend introduced him to Ip Man, a respected Wing Chun teacher. This meeting changed Bruce's path. Instead of learning only from street experience, he began formal martial arts training. Wing Chun focused on balance, structure, and direct movement. Bruce trained hard. He was fast and strong, but he also asked many questions. He wanted to know why techniques worked, not just how to perform them. His early fights gave him motivation, but his training gave him direction. At the same time, Ip Man was dealing with serious problems in his own life. After leaving mainland China in 1949, he moved to Hong Kong. The move was not easy. He did not arrive with wealth or strong support. He struggled to find steady work. For a time, he worked in a restaurant and lived very simply. Money was often short. He also faced personal difficulties, including an opium habit, which made life even harder. Despite these struggles, Ip Man began teaching Wing Chun in Hong Kong. At first, his classes were small. Students paid what they could. Slowly, his reputation grew. People heard that his methods were effective in real fights. As more students joined, his teaching became more organized. In 1967, he helped form the Wing Chun Athletic Association. This step gave his school a stronger structure. Even though he faced hardship, he remained focused on teaching clearly and simply. Ip Man's teaching was not only about fighting. He spoke about ideas such as balance, timing, and staying calm. He believed that strength alone was not enough. A person needed structure and awareness. He taught that movements should be direct and simple. There should be no wasted energy. These ideas deeply influenced Bruce Lee.
Well, it really depends, I do have several heroes in my life, As you mentioned, Bruce Lee is definitely one of my men.
Even though Bruce later created his own system, the base of his thinking came from these early lessons. Bruce eventually faced more trouble because of street fights. His family decided he should leave Hong Kong. At 18, he moved to the United States. This move gave him a fresh start. In America, he continued to train and teach martial arts. Over time, he began to question strict traditional systems. He believed martial arts should change and adapt. From this belief, he developed his own approach, later known as Jeet Kune Do. Bruce Lee soon entered the film world. His movies showed speed, power, and strong screen presence. He became famous around the world. His fame brought attention not only to himself, but also to Ip Man and Wing Chun. Many people first heard of Wing Chun because of Bruce's success. Ip Man himself did not seek fame, but his name became known internationally through his student. Even today, people debate who was the better fighter, Bruce Lee or Ip Man. Some believe Ip Man's many years of training gave him deeper knowledge and skill. Others believe Bruce's creativity and ability to mix different styles made him stronger in real combat. There was no official match between them, so the debate cannot be settled with proof. In the end, both men are remembered as legends. Ip Man is seen as a master who preserved tradition and taught with discipline. Bruce Lee is remembered as a pioneer who brought martial arts to the world stage and encouraged change. Their lives show how knowledge can pass from teacher to student and how that knowledge can grow in new directions. Could the next generation of martial arts masters truly honor the legends who came before? And how did one of the greatest stars, Jet Li, view the man who changed martial arts forever, Bruce Lee? Let's find out. Jet Li's tribute to Bruce Lee, a legacy of strength and grace. Jet Li and Bruce Lee are two of the most famous martial artists in the world. They both changed the way people see martial arts, especially in movies. Even though they trained differently and had different ways of thinking, they shared a similar goal: to show the world how powerful, beautiful, and effective martial arts could be. Jet Li trained in wushu, a traditional Chinese martial art, from a very young age. He became a national champion in China, proving his skill and dedication. For many years, Li stayed quiet when people compared him to Bruce Lee. He rarely spoke about Li, even though fans often debated who was better. Recently, however, Jet Li broke his silence for the first time. He shared his thoughts on Bruce Lee, and what he said surprised many people. Li explained that Bruce Lee had taken different techniques, improved them, and combined them into his own unique style. Jet Li called it the Bruce Lee style. His words showed deep respect and admiration, recognizing Lee's role in changing martial arts and how it is seen in films. Bruce Lee's style, Jeet Kune Do, focused on speed, efficiency, and using the best techniques from any martial art. He wanted fighting to be real and practical, not tied to tradition or unnecessary movements. His punches and kicks were fast and direct, designed to end a fight quickly. Jet Li's wushu, in contrast, emphasized grace, control, and flowing movements. Li's training made his fights look smooth, precise, and almost like a dance. While Li's style was raw and explosive, Li's style was elegant and disciplined. Both were masters, but their approaches created a fascinating contrast in martial arts cinema. Bruce Lee became famous in Hong Kong with movies like The Big Boss, Fist of Fury, and Enter the Dragon. These films showed audiences fighting that was fast, accurate, and realistic. Lee proved that martial arts could be deadly but also beautiful to watch. His performances changed movies forever and inspired martial artists worldwide. Tragically, Lee passed away before Enter the Dragon was released, but his impact lasted long after his death. Jet Li followed a similar path decades later. He became famous in China with films like Shaolin Temple and the Once Upon a Time in China series. These movies introduced audiences to traditional Chinese martial arts with skill, elegance, and artistry. As Li's career grew, he moved to Hollywood, starring in films like Lethal Weapon 4 and Romeo Must Die. In Hollywood, he showed that Chinese martial artists could be more than villains or side characters. Like Bruce Lee, Lee became a global symbol of Chinese martial arts. Lee admired Bruce Lee not just for his skill, but also for the doors he opened. He said that without Bruce Lee, it would have been much harder for a Chinese martial artist to lead a Hollywood film. Lee fought battles decades earlier that made it possible for actors like Lee to gain recognition around the world. Jet Li also praised Lee's strength, speed, and technique. He called Lee a force of nature, noting how revolutionary his punches, kicks, and fighting style were. Even for someone like Lee, who is extremely fast and precise, Bruce Lee's power was in a league of its own. Beyond the physical skill, Jet Li also recognized Bruce Lee's philosophy. Lee challenged old martial arts traditions and encouraged adaptability and personal expression. Lee's own philosophy, influenced by his Buddhist beliefs, emphasized self-discipline, control, and balance. For him, martial arts are not just about fighting, they are about learning, growing, and respecting others. Films like Fearless reflect this approach, showing that true strength comes not only from the body, but also from the mind and spirit. In the end, Bruce Lee and Jet Li share a lasting achievement. They brought Chinese martial arts to the world stage. Lee laid the foundation with his explosive power, innovation, and cinematic breakthroughs. Lee built upon that foundation, adding artistry, precision, and spiritual meaning. Together, their work has inspired millions of people to learn martial arts and has ensured that the techniques, philosophy, and beauty of Chinese martial arts remain alive and respected worldwide. Jet Li's words about Bruce Lee show the deep admiration and understanding he has for the man who changed martial arts forever. While their styles were very different, Lee acknowledges that Bruce Lee's contributions made his own path possible. Both of them, in their unique ways, have shaped martial arts cinema and left a legacy that will continue to influence generations to come. Just how did Bruce Lee's extraordinary speed, strength, and skill come to be, and what made him rise above all other martial artists of his time? Let's take a closer look. The superhuman abilities and training of Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee is widely recognized as one of the most extraordinary martial artists in history. From a young age, he devoted himself to studying martial arts with unmatched dedication. What made him stand out immediately was his speed. His hand speed was so incredible that many people could barely see it. Even in demonstration videos and in rare footage, it was clear that Lee's punches were nearly imperceptible to the human eye. He developed techniques that seemed almost impossible, yet he performed them flawlessly and consistently. One of the most famous techniques that Lee perfected was the 1-inch punch. This punch became legendary because it could deliver tremendous force over a very short distance. On one occasion, he used this punch to knock a black belt karate master back into a chair. On another occasion, he struck a young opponent and sent him flying approximately 6 meters across the room. This level of power, combined with speed, set Lee apart from almost every other martial artist of his time. His 1-inch punch, recorded at 1/15th of a second, remains one of the fastest and most precise strikes in martial arts history. He learned this technique from his teacher, Ip Man, when he was just 13 years old. The training he received in Wing Chun at such a young age laid a strong foundation for his later achievements. Bruce Lee's mastery extended far beyond striking. He was also highly skilled in grappling. He developed 33 grappling techniques, which were carefully integrated into his martial art, Jeet Kune Do. These techniques allowed him to counter opponents in close combat effectively. He trained not only in traditional Chinese martial arts, but also experimented with other styles, including judo, boxing, and wrestling. His willingness to blend multiple techniques demonstrated his innovative approach and his focus on effectiveness over tradition. Lee also spent countless hours practicing with his students. One notable student, Ted Wong, trained under Lee in controlled sparring sessions. During these sessions, Lee would patiently wait for his student to strike, then counter with precision. He would use a combination of punches, blocks, and throws to neutralize attacks effortlessly. Observing these sessions, it became clear that Lee's martial ability was not just about raw speed or power, but about strategy, timing, and intelligence. He could read an opponent's movements, anticipate their actions, and respond with perfect accuracy. Even in his collaborations with other martial artists, Lee's skill shone brightly. In Enter the Dragon, he faced Bob Wall, who was an accomplished martial artist in his own right. Despite Wall's impressive technique, Lee's Jeet Kune Do completely dominated the fight, showing how his approach combined efficiency, fluidity, and precision. Later, in The Way of the Dragon, he fought Chuck Norris. This fight was meticulously choreographed, but also demonstrated Lee's incredible speed and control. He ended the duel with a guillotine choke, showcasing his ability to combine striking and grappling seamlessly. Both Wall and Norris later expressed admiration for Lee's physical skill, athletic ability, and extraordinary speed. Lee's dedication to martial arts was mirrored in his daily training routine. He maintained a rigorous regimen that focused on strength, flexibility, endurance, and speed. His workout journal from 1965 documented a variety of exercises aimed at building both power and agility. Core strengthening exercises, such as the dragon flag, were a central part of his routine. reflecting his understanding that functional strength was essential for martial effectiveness. He also experimented with new training methods, constantly testing and refining his approach. Lee believed that martial arts should evolve and adapt, and his training reflected that philosophy. Beyond the physical, Bruce Lee was a philosopher and thinker. He approached martial arts as more than just fighting. He saw it as a method of personal growth. His experiments, his teachings, and his disciplined training all reflected a deep commitment to understanding the art of combat and the potential of the human body. Lee's approach has inspired countless martial artists, actors, and fans worldwide. His life shows that extraordinary skill is the result of discipline, focus, and a willingness to innovate. If Bruce Lee's speed, strength, and techniques were so extraordinary, how did he turn that mastery into unforgettable fight scenes and inspire generations of martial artists and actors? Let's find out. Philosophy, legacy, and lasting influence of Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee's influence extends far beyond his physical abilities. While his speed, power, and precision were remarkable, what made him truly unique was his philosophy. He understood that martial arts was not only about defeating opponents, but also about developing oneself. Lee believed that a fighter must be adaptable, efficient, and thoughtful. He emphasized that every movement should have a purpose. Nothing should be wasted. This approach became the foundation of his personal martial art, Jeet Kune Do. Jeet Kune Do reflected Lee's ideas about efficiency and practicality. It combined techniques from multiple martial arts, allowing a fighter to be versatile and unpredictable. Lee discarded rigid forms and traditions that he believed limited a fighter's potential. Instead, he focused on what worked in real combat situations. His methods were revolutionary at the time. They challenged long-held beliefs about martial arts and encouraged others to rethink the way combat was practiced and taught. Even in his rare fight demonstrations, Lee's philosophy was evident. Videos show him sparring with students while remaining calm and focused. He would patiently wait for attacks, countering with accuracy, and then neutralizing the opponent. He blended grappling with striking, combining offense and defense seamlessly. These demonstrations offered a glimpse into the mind of a martial artist who treated combat as both a science and an art. It was clear that his success came not just from talent, but from understanding the principles behind every movement. Bruce Lee's rigorous training also reflected his philosophy. Speed, strength, flexibility, and endurance were always central to his practice. He trained his body carefully, experimenting with new methods to maximize performance. His commitment to physical conditioning was unmatched. He documented his workouts, planned his exercises, and constantly sought ways to improve. Lee believed that the human body had enormous potential, and he dedicated himself to unlocking it. Lee's work in film brought his philosophy to a global audience. Through movies like Enter the Dragon and The Way of the Dragon, he introduced audiences to martial arts that were not only effective, but also visually compelling. His fights combined realism with artistic expression, demonstrating that combat could be both beautiful and practical. These films inspired generations of martial artists, actors, and fans. They also helped establish martial arts as a global phenomenon. Beyond technique and performance, Lee's legacy includes his thinking about self-expression and innovation. He encouraged martial artists to learn from many sources, to take what worked, and to leave what did not. He emphasized personal growth, discipline, and understanding one's own body and mind. His ideas continue to influence martial artists today, shaping how combat is taught and performed. Even decades after his passing, Bruce Lee's impact remains profound. Students, actors, and fans study his methods, training, and philosophy. Rare footage of his speed, strength, and skill still amazes viewers. His ability to combine striking, grappling, and intelligent strategy remains a benchmark for martial artists around the world. Bruce Lee's life demonstrates that dedication, innovation, and discipline can create a lasting legacy that goes far beyond personal achievements. In every sense, Bruce Lee was more than a fighter. He was an innovator, a thinker, and a philosopher. His training methods, his combat philosophy, and his cinematic performances combined to make him a timeless figure. His influence continues to inspire martial artists across the globe, ensuring that his approach, his ideas, and his extraordinary skill will never be forgotten. What do you think about the mystery of IP Man defeating Bruce Lee with just one finger? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Thank you for joining us as we explored the incredible journey of Bruce Lee, from his early days learning Wing Chun under Ip Man to becoming a global martial arts legend. If this deep dive gave you a new appreciation for the man behind the mastery, don't forget to like and subscribe. Click the next video on your screen to uncover more stories. See you there.